Yeah, here we are. Gemma, we're here. Believe it or not. Welcome to Monday Night Paranormal Live with myself, Paul and Jenny from Host for Ghosts, Angela from South Coast Ghosts, Julia from Paranation Ghost Hunting Events, Luke, one of our investigators down there on the left-hand side. So tonight, we're going to talk about poltergeists, and we've got some pictures and bits to put on to talk about. So if you have any comments or you want to talk about poltergeists, please get in contact, send your messages in, and we'll do our best to answer them, or, we'll read them out and see what other people think. So if you have comments, please send them in. We'd be interested to see your side of it. Into the Dark Paranormal. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you. Ghost Dragon Investigation. Good evening, Jamie and Ghost Dragon Investigation. Welcome. We're talking about poltergeists tonight. So if you have any experiences with poltergeists, what you think they are, and other questions, then please send them in to us, and we'll endeavour to read them out and give you our take on them or other people's take. So off we go then. Poltergeists. Luke, you were the first one that wanted to talk about this. So what's your take on a poltergeist then, Luke?
Well, I've been looking. If we're looking at a famous case, but it's called the Enfield poltergeist, where the girl glides up from the bed. I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm a bit skeptical about that. I'm not sure if they were like faking it or real. The photographer said it was real, but I'm unsure about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're messing around or not. I'm not sure.
That's the thing, isn't it?
That's the thing with poltergeists, isn't it? Yeah. When you see the pictures and you think, really, could they our spirit really that physical, that strong, that they can actually do things like that? You often wonder, don't you? You can imagine glass moving and chairs tipping and little bits like that. But do you actually think that, they could be strong enough physically to lift something up onto the top, or, just do things that defy logic, really? And I don't know, because, you hear a poltergeist when things move and there's taps, they're not, they're quite interactive. But whether I believe they could actually physically lift someone and throw you across the room, or physically lift something heavy, where do they get their energy from to do that, would be my question. I don't know about anybody else. Judy, what do you think?
I don't know. I sort of sit on the fence when it comes to poltergeists. I believe that there's ghosts that can do things that are quite strong, that can maybe make a glass fall off a ledge. I'm speaking from experience, and I believe that they can punch you, but I just believe that's just a normal ghost that is matured and everything, and they're able to punch you, or to to scratch you, or to push you. But to actually physically lift a child off a bed, I don't know. I am very much on the fence with that one. I don't really think that it's possible. Just from I've been doing this for over 20 years. I've never seen anything really that. Maybe if I saw it, I'd say, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." But
yeah,
I've been punched. I've had a scratched. I've been scratched, but I've never really seen anything really powerful.
See, to my mind, if a child was lifted off a bed, wouldn't you sort of kind of see that as maybe demonic?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, we've got a couple of question marks about something we're doing at the moment, and we don't quite believe that a poltergeist could, like, you know.
Into the dark paranormal, but with being pushed across the room by a poltergeist activity, if so, then I've had experience with one.
I
That's
just think
interesting.
maybe you're just a ghost, just pushing people. I've been punched, but I've never. Yeah, I don't know. I think is there a fine line between ghosts and poltergeist, or are they one of the same thing?
Could who was it that just made that comment? Could they?
Into the dark paranormal.
Yeah, could they like expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been scratched, but never had really any physical pushed or being punched like Julia's had. Was that a punch in the arm, Julia? Was it in the back or?
Yeah, it was sitting on a like a bench-like table at Manor Farm, and we were in the dark, and we were all sitting down. It was quite near towards the end of the evening. We're all sitting down, and it was a really wide table, and I was sitting on the end of the bench, and the person opposite me was probably I don't know, probably about 3 foot away, maybe more. And I was just sitting there, and I just felt this like that on my arm, just like that. And I was like, oh my God, who just punched me? But I knew that there wasn't anybody there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Did that make Into the Dark? I was in Lewis police station working and told the front officer girl. That's interesting, isn't it?
Mm.
That was in a police station. So I wonder what type of poltergeist or spirit would be there. An old policeman, I suppose.
Well, you could have someone that had been in a criminal in a cell that was like quite aggressive or something like that.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
But what about like I can believe a poltergeist could, like, say for instance there was a plate on the side and it could levitate the plate and like throw it across the room, like they could throw knives. That you can like really understand, couldn't you? That is feasible. You see what I mean? But actually lifting a person up or a heavy object, I don't know. I put a question mark for that myself.
No, Darren had that happen.
What's that?
I can't remember. Was that with the cottage the cottage ghost on a few years ago? And Darren was talking to us, and all of a sudden the plates and smack on the table.
Oh, really?
They moved, and I thought Darren done it, but he said no, I didn't do it.
No, I didn't do it.
No.
Where was that then, Luke?
We've done it with Julia. A few of us stayed over there, I think.
Did they stay?
You can't do it no more. It's a little farmhouse.
Cottage, isn't it?
Oh, not Manor Farm, like
No.
Julie was just saying.
We all stayed there. Yeah.
So the plates moved, or they were thrown on the floor, or what actually happened?
Stack of plates on the table, and it's like someone put their fist on the table, and the plates like shook.
Oh, Castle Cottage.
Yeah, Castle Cottage. That was it. Yeah.
Castle Cottage.
Yeah.
Oh, right. That's quite active there. Then was that the only? Was that what was in the only loud interaction you had that night? Then, or was it sort of that was the start of it?
That was sort of like in the middle of the evening, wasn't it?
See, that's another thing, isn't it? Poltergeists like are meant to start off small, start like hiding stuff of car keys, remote control, whatever, and then it escalates, doesn't it?
Yeah,
that's
and it builds up to things being thrown and smashed, and and then probably a physical attack.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe a physical attack. Whether they're strong enough to actually lift someone up and push them and throw them, people say on here, haven't they, that they've been pushed and that. But how hard was the push? Was it a real grunt of a push, or was it a little tiny push? It sort of knocked you enough forward? Angie, have you experienced anything like that?
I haven't, but I know someone that's had or still has lots of things going on in their home where they don't actually see the things move, but she has things like she'd go to bed and everything would be fine, and she'd wake up in the morning and this one picture was always crooked at an angle, and she'd sort of straighten it up and it would like go on for ages. Like every night it would be like that, and she used to end up sort of shouting at them and just saying, "Can you stop moving my picture?" And in the end, she got so fed up, she just took the picture off. But she has the most recent one, I think it was only last week. She had this clock on the wall, which she's had for, I don't know, 20 odd years, a little blue clock. And she took it down to clean and she just left it on the kitchen surface, I think, leaning up against the wall. And she did all her cleaning and went to put it back up and it had gone. And she can't find it anywhere at all in the house. And it's only her that lives there with 4, I think, dogs. And the dogs are too old to like jump up on on the side and knock it down or anything.
Yeah.
And she's got no idea where this clock has gone. It'll probably turn up one day.
Might be those video clips. Did you do that?
And she's got lights that she's had them checked out by the electricians 2 or 3 times, and they keep telling her that what she's saying is happening is not possible because they're all on the same circuit, but they just sort of flash randomly, and they shouldn't be able to because they're all on the same thing. So if one goes, then they all go. So they don't believe her that what she's saying, where this light keeps flashing and then this one goes off and this one goes off because they're saying it's not possible. So she thinks, she's pretty sure there's somebody in her house.
Yeah.
It could be the guy that lived there before because he actually died in the house. And there's one of it where she won't go down because she has such a horrible feeling. She's like, I'm not even going to go down there. Not even, she won't go down there in the dark, but not even in the light. And even when Darren went there about just over 2 years ago, he wouldn't even stay in that room, like up that end as well. He made up the bed for him to stay, and he's like, no.
All right.
There must be something there for Darren to not.
Yeah. So how do the dogs react to all of that?
I think they're that old that they don't really care about anything anymore. This like, okay.
Oh, well, again, here we go again.
Yeah, I don't think they really notice anything strange.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because obviously
they're just used to it.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Do pets get used to all this poltergeist stuff happening around them, or they're more sensitive to the spirit than we are, really, in some respects, aren't they? You know, and sometimes the dog just sits there and just looks up
or whatever,
and just looks back down again and think, well, what have you just looked at?
Yeah.
Or they sit in the corner and stare. I don't know about cats. I know dogs do. What do your cats do, Julie? Do they do anything weird, like looking in the corner, or?
Yeah, she does tend to sort of like stare into the hall and sort of stare at the stairs, and you can just tell when there's something not right because she just like fixated on something.
Yeah, because that's where you get a lot of activity, isn't it, Julia?
Yeah. But yeah,
So the cat, it doesn't meow then. It just looks into the hallway.
Yeah, just stares, and if you put your hand like that, it'll go and like look around it. So yeah, but it's different to normal sort of like just walking around looking type, eyes. It's sort of like more sort of fixated, sort of like big eyes.
I'm scared eyes.
What's Molly like, Angela?
I don't think she's seen anything indoors, but I know a couple of times when we've been out somewhere, I think it was at Knoll Village, she picked up on something. She was sort of scared by something. She was like, sort of stopped and looked, but yeah, nothing at home. Although around my friend's a couple of days ago, she's got a little kitten, and just as she was telling me that she sometimes picks up on things because of like change in behaviour, And as we were talking, she did do exactly that. She sort of stopped and looked up towards the kitchen. She's like following something and sort of looking round. And we're like, well, there must be something there for the way she's acting.
Yeah.
It's a previous cat who died sometime last year. I thought, oh, maybe it's Chloe that's wandering around or something. But she said she often just sort of sits there and looks at something and watches it.
Strange, isn't it? You know, it's like, you know, with the poltergeist where they're making noises and moving things. A lot of animals don't even react to that, do they? You know, you look at some of the videos online and you look at it and they don't seem to react. You think, well, if an animal's not reacting but a human does, you know, you think the animal would pick it up first, the noise, because they're much sensitive hearing than we have. You know.
So I've got a question. So all of you out there, and obviously those on the panel, would you like assume, say, that if there was a poltergeist in a house, that there'd be like quite a negative energy there? Would you think?
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
In my experience, one experience I've had here of something, well, I've had like things fall and everything, but something which I think was just the result of a negative energy was I've got this long, fairly heavy, I suppose, what's it called, canvas print on the wall in the front room. And there was one day, Ben and Amy were having a big old argument in the kitchen, and Ben had said some really nasty things and actually made Amy cry, which is like a really difficult thing to do. And while that was going on, this picture just jumped off its place on the wall and just landed on the sofa. And there was no one near it at all. It was just me in here.
Wow.
I was sat over there at my other desk. I just heard it go plonk and turned round, and I just put that down to like the negative energy that's been built up by them having such a big argument.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's something, isn't it?
That's interesting, isn't it? So what do other people looking in and watching us tonight think of that? I mean, I've sent some pictures over to Angela with a case that we've currently hopefully finished with, that odd things have happened there. We were there Saturday to do the final moving on and things, but some of the things didn't sort of ring true, to be honest with you. But I sent pictures over to Angela with various things. So I don't know, would a poltergeist, like the pictures hanging like that, you know, can spirit do that? Why not take it off the wall?
When Wendy used to live at her old house, you know, my friend Wendy used to come and help us. She had some pictures going up the stairs, and it was she had some pictures going up the stairs, and she said that there was probably about 4 of them, and she said that she'd, you know, go upstairs and all the pictures were crooked and the loft hatch was down. And she said to me, look, come round and have a look. She goes, it's always happening. So I'm like, okay. So I went round, and she said also in her spare room she had one of these touch lights, you know, that you touch to get it to go on. And she said, look, sit in my bedroom and look out. And I said, right, I'm going to sit out here. I'm looking out into the hall, and I can see that the door's open. If the light comes on, we'll see it. But the pictures didn't move. But she did say the pictures would like go, you know, like skew whiff, and the loft hatch would drop down. So I said, well, loft hatch, that could be down to wind or something, you know. You know, a hole in the roof or something, and you know, or a vacuum or something could have pulled it down. You know, the house
or
could have
maybe
it
the
down.
catch wasn't quite.
And I was sitting there, and she said, look, I'll do some ironing, because that's normally when it happens. So she was standing there ironing. A very bizarre evening it was. And I was sitting there looking out into a hall. The hall light was on, so you know that was all fine. And you know, we're just sitting there. And I said, look, I said, don't think this is going to happen. I said, nothing's going to happen, because I think it's because I'm here, you know, and maybe it doesn't like, you know, visitors or what. All of a sudden the light went on.
Wow.
It was by the side of the bed, and you had to touch it to make it light up.
Right.
So anyway, we went in there, tried to debunk it and everything. You know, there was no one in there, no one jumping on the floor to make it go off, nothing. So we turned it off, went back in her bedroom. Again, it came on. But yeah, she's not one to make stuff up. And I've known her for about 18 years, many years.
Yeah.
And I've actually gone round there and I've witnessed the light going on by itself. So I believe that pictures can go a bit skew with, but that bin on the side,
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know whether I
Not
get
sure
that.
about that one.
Yeah,
no.
well, this is just the thing, isn't it? We don't kind of get that either.
No.
We don't know what that's trying to indicate. I mean, you know, a picture moving,
Right,
you know,
I'm gonna sit
okay.
down. Sorry.
a picture moving or glass or, you know, various things happen. But being on a worktop,
Because they'd have to lift it up onto the worktop, wouldn't they?
yeah,
Which
yeah.
A lot of
Would-
energy.
Yeah, would a poltergeist be able to do that?
Are there many people that living in the house, or is it
Two,
just
three.
three?
It's a man and a wife and a daughter, and they've also had like the kitchen bar stools put up on the top as well. And I
Which
can
are
assure
heavier-
you, they're
heavier
very
than
heavy bar stools. So you've got to make. I don't know if anybody else out there has got an answer. I don't know whether spirit are physically that strong to do that. You know,
Right.
obviously I've seen
One,
things
isn't it?
move. Pardon?
I think if you've witnessed it yourself, then you can say, yeah, you know, you can say, yeah, okay, I've personally witnessed that. I believe it can happen. But I think, you know, if you haven't witnessed it yourself, it's quite hard to believe. It's like, you know, when people say, oh, I don't believe, you know, you've seen a ghost, and you say, well, I've seen a ghost. I think unless you actually physically, you know, sort of like experience that yourself, it's very hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you see sort of pictures like that, you think, you know, is that really what a poltergeist or spirit would do? Put a bin up on the side, you know, what is it indicating? It's like, you know, you ask yourself, would the picture skew with? What's the spirit asking by moving the picture? You know, what's it trying to indicate?
You think it just knock it off, but I know
Yeah.
Wendy had her pictures, but hers were quite small up the stairs.
Yeah.
Probably about A4 size. She had about 4 up the stairs, and she said, "Oh, they're always a bit skew with the loft." So we tried to debunk the loft hatch, and you know, but yeah,
It's, you know, I wonder why they put them skew with, or what they are trying to get attention, trying to get acknowledgement. Is it a way of communication? I don't actually know, because there's often, you know, numerous different things happen in this place, you know, but some of it you can sort of believe that poltergeist or spirit could do that. Other things you think, well, could they be physically that strong to lift the bin up on the side, lift the really heavy kitchen stool up there without making a noise that the people don't hear it, but they come down in the morning and it's there?
because we know how much energy it takes to do like what we do, like glass moving, planchette, those sort of things. We know how much energy it takes for them just to do some of the simplest of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been punched, I've been scratched, but that's not like lifting a bin up onto the side. It's
No.
but you know, unless you've had it happen to you, it's very hard to imagine that something like that could happen.
Yeah, and not to hear it.
Yeah.
You know, to
But
come down in the morning and it's there, it is up on the side.
Yeah.
That's a strange thing. That's difficult to get your head round.
Yeah, there's loads and loads of comments. So do you want me to start putting them up?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
And a video as well. Right, we'll go with the
Oh,
comments.
nice. Into the dark, but hot sunny day temperature went freezing around me, then felt 2 hands on my back and pushed me across the room. And then the paperwork flew off the desk. Now that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Into the Dark, was that a negative place? Was that a negative feeling before that happened?
I think that was the one at the police station.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, from right next one.
Sindel, hi Sindel, welcome this evening. Hey, Castle Cottage, oh my God, I had an incredible time. A woman humming, and then when I had solo, EVP was crazy. But if you ever, Sindel, have you ever been pushed, scratched, pushed over or had your legs done? Ghost Dragon investigation, my friend was in the middle of a pendulum and you could see the motion of his clothes move when he was pushed in his lower back. See, it makes you wonder, just, how spirit can get that amount of energy, isn't it?
We had that at Devices where Sindel caught on camera that your jacket was being pulled.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. And that was just like somebody tugged it. Gemma's put, well, I had witnessed two things happened, and in the just spirit or poltergeist, a heavy wooden chair physically turned on its own 360 degrees, and three other people saw it too. No one was even touching it, and it was at Wimmering Manor a good few years ago. A big heavy table elevated off the floor. So if you see them types of things, thanks, Gemma. I'm now overthinking as we cannot find a T-shirt. We have looked everywhere. So does this mean Spirit has taken it, or have we have a house upside? We have had our house upside down. This is the other thing, when you think about Spirit. Why do they take certain things? Where do they go that we can't find them? This house, this place that we've been working on. They've had car keys going missing and not coming back. They've had the right hand shoe missing off the trainers and shoes, but only the right hand shoe. The left hand one would still be there, and then suddenly they would appear somewhere most random behind a sofa, most random places. I begs you to ask the question, why spirit takes certain objects,
Especially when you need them the most and you can't find them.
And they seem to know that, don't they? TV remote, car keys, house keys, whatever it may be. They seem to know whatever you need, they'll go and take it. So you think, well, what have I done with them? Where have I put them? I'm sure I came in with them. And you sort of doubt yourself, Into the Dark, I weighed 12.5 stone. That spirit used such force to push me a good 6 feet. I would imagine they can lift heavy objects. Now that is interesting. I mean, 12.5 stones of weight to be pushed. I mean, wish I was 12.5 stone. But that's quite a weight to be pushed, isn't it? From out of nowhere. That must be quite scary. Like Julia was saying about being punched. Suddenly out of the nowhere, there's that punch. Or like Into the Dark was saying, you get that massive push that pushes you across the room. You've got to think, is there something bad here? What's it trying to do? What's it trying to indicate? What's it trying to show me? Does it want me to do something? Does it want me to go somewhere? What do you think, Luke? What's happened? Have you had anything like that?
Well, when I first started going to investigations, I think they used to get pushed back quite a bit. But now it stops, doesn't happen anymore. Because I grounded myself more, I believe, or have more protection.
So do you think that's the key to not being pushed around, is being grounded more firmly?
Where like crystals like on your neck like that. Like
Right.
crystals, they helped me a lot as well. And Darren helped with it.
Yeah, I know Darren's a great believer in that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
A lot of grounding.
Yeah.
And do you think, grounding yourself, that spirit can't be pushing you around? Do you experience any more, Luke?
No.
Being pushed around or movement?
No, that hasn't happened for like a good few years now. 2018, I reckon, around. That hasn't happened now since for a while.
Right. And have you felt anything in an investigation when you think, what was that? Did I just walk into something? Into the Dark's put, Paul, it terrified me now. Terrified me, but now I've just loved investigating the paranormal. We must be mad, mustn't we? When something like that happens and you get terrified, but you think, I've got to go back for more. I've got to go back for more. there must be something about us that drives us on, isn't it? It's the passion, isn't it? Ghost Dragon investigation. So if you had a great group of people with lots of built up energy, maybe the spirits can grasp the energy and use it to manipulate things. Yeah, I mean, the one with the bin was in the early hours of the morning, so there wouldn't have been anybody downstairs to get any energy from. So where did they get the energy to lift that bin and put it on the top? I can understand being in a group. I totally agree that. You know, when you're a group, there's huge amounts of energy within the group, isn't there, produced? And I can't quite believe, you know, spirit can do anything. Once he gets that massive energy of everybody around the group, it can move anything. But as for, you know, some of the videos you see on the TV or see on YouTube, whatever you watch, you know, you see some of these things move and you think, and people are unaware, aren't they? They're looking at their computer screen and the door's open behind them, or the door shuts, or something goes past them, don't they? And they like, and then somebody says, "Oh, did you see someone behind you?" You know, that all takes energy. So where does the spirit get the energy from to be able to do that? That one person. I know the more scared you are, the more energy you produce, and that's the idea of having fear, isn't it? You know, when you're in a fearful situation, you create a massive amount of energy.
Yeah. I've got a video to show here from Ghost Investigations.
Oh, nice.
You're going to flick on and off again?
Oh, wow.
Can you stop? What the actual fuck? That is crazy.
He did say sorry about the language.
We apologise for that. But that happens during the paranormal.
Can we play it again?
No.
You're going to flick on and off again? Can you stop? What the actual fuck?
Because it's not even as if it's flashing. You get like
crazy.
I don't know. I'd like to slow it down. I would like to slow it down. I think so you can see it in slower motion.
It's very strange, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
To suddenly
side light.
Yeah. To suddenly stop on command as well and just stay on. You know, if it was a bulb going, then it would have gone, wouldn't it? Pop, and that would it. You know, sometimes you get a bulb that flashes and goes straight out, don't you?
Yeah.
So that actually flickers, doesn't it? And then actually comes on. Ghost Dragon investigation. A home is a perfect vessel of love, light, and happiness. Why couldn't they use that? Also, dark places, spirits use energy of the suffering. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, you get these negative places, can't you? And that was in Windsor, according to Ghost Dragon Investigations. Thank you for that. Very interesting. Yeah, I suppose, you know, or if you're there all day, Graham, hi, Graham, welcome. But when working at one of the residential homes, I went towards the door and it opened towards me before I was anywhere near it. And it's a heavy breeze blew over my head and past me. I went into the room, which was upstairs, conservatory, and no draft or anything to cause that breeze. A strange thing is the door was on a closer, so it couldn't possibly open by itself. Had a few other explained things besides that. You know, that's interesting. You know, could that be one of the old residents passing through? You know, because you do see it sometimes in like hospitals, don't you, where wheelchairs move and beds move and things open and doors shut. And it makes you wonder, like the poltergeist or the spirit walking through, you know, would it need to push a door open to come through a door, or could it just travel through a door? You know, it's the question, isn't it? Really? Because if they can go through walls, because they disappear through walls, don't they? You know, people say, oh, they disappeared through a wall. So would they need to push a door open, or would they just come through? I don't know. That's a difficult one,
They always used to do, and they always used to go through that door and push it open. Then I can imagine they would push it open. I think that they sort of like, you know, when they go through walls, I think it's when the building has been modified and, you know, that door is no longer there, and they just, you know, like a film, they just replay, they just keep on replaying, walking through that door and oh, it's walking through a wall. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a door, So yeah,
It's
yeah.
a strange one, isn't it? When you think about it, and it's like, are we dealing with a poltergeist when we ask, can you knock once for yes, twice for no?
Mm.
When they get knock, because that's a physical interaction. So is that poltergeist? Is that spirit? Is it the same thing? It's slightly different. Spirit's slightly different to I know poltergeist is German for like noisy ghost, isn't it? It's a German word for noisy ghost. But are you dealing with a poltergeist when you get a knock and the tap, or can you touch the door? Can you slam the door and the door shuts? Graham's
It's quite hard, isn't it, to try and distinguish between, a normal ghost and a poltergeist. Where's the boundary of what they can do? It's quite a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, there must be a very thin line, like you say, between a normal ghost spirit and a poltergeist. I know that over periods of time it ramps up. I missed that. Sorry, Graham. I know over a period of time that ramps up, doesn't it? The energy. Then you start getting things sliding off, and there's on that caught on camera, the unexplained, the one that we're on. If you watch the bit before us, it's about how she befriends a poltergeist, and it slams the door in her boyfriend's face and opens the drawers and chucks things about because he doesn't like him, but it's fine with her. So there's a very fine line between being okay and being aggressive, isn't it?
Yeah, because my friend Ben at the moment, he's had some activity in his house. He moved into his house, which I think dates back to, I think it's probably the early 1900s, and he's had like drawers in his bedroom open, the wardrobe door open, a voice, because he's got like cameras all over his house because he's got dogs, and when he's at work he likes to keep an eye on them, so he's got his cameras everywhere. And he sent me a video last night where the cameras just sort of like tipped down and sort of like fell over. But yeah, there's something there. We think it's like a man, but
Okay.
yeah, there's he's got activity there.
This place we've been doing this case study on, they often report that the camera's being turned round.
Yeah, this was sort of like it just slowly went down.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of like fell over.
But she said they had one in the hallway that always looks across both lounges, the kitchen and the door. But often they come down and the camera's been, like you say, tipped down or turned around so it's facing the wall, as though it can't record anything.
Yeah, that's quite creepy, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was the camera that caught that one that. Remember, I sent you that video of that thing, and you turned it round. That was the camera that caught that. But ever since, it's always been turned around or tipped over, so there's no more recording. And various things, but they never seem to hear anything. No crashing, no banging. Like lifting the bin up on the top, you think there'd be a noise, or the kitchen stool being lifted up, but they hear nothing. Just that they come down in the morning, and that's how they find it. So I find that a little bit strange that there is no noise, because poltergeist is noisy ghost.
Yeah, when I first went in Ben's house, I was like, I could just feel it. I went in there and I could just feel it, and I thought, this is not quite right. The house just didn't feel right. It did feel like there was something in there.
Does he know the history of the house, Julia, or?
Yes, he does. Yeah, and he thinks it might be the lady's husband. The lady's still alive, might be her husband. So, he thinks it might be her. But here we get footsteps here. If everybody's out and you just decide to do a bit of videoing, even if you just like video into like nothing, you'll get these like loud clicks. There's lots of clicks, even when the house is silent. There's lots, but you can't hear them until you play your video back, and you're like, "Gosh, what's all that noise?"
Yeah, surprising, isn't it? How noisy it is at night. Gemma's put, Graham has reminded me that we stayed in the most haunted house in Bude, Cornwall. I didn't realise until we left, as my parents didn't tell us it was a Christmas time. My dad said he would hear someone walking upstairs back and forth on the landing when we were at the theatre. The dog was always on the edge, and when the first got there, me and my hubby picked the room. We opened the drawer, and there was some china clown in there that his feet had broken off. On the last night, I was looking at the door, and it was a very heavy door. You know,
Is there part 2 to that, Gemma?
I think you probably is. But, would you stay there if somebody said, "Oh, this house is haunted. You're welcome to stay here"? I mean, we would. Because we're all crazy. We're all a crazy bunch. All of us, even the people watching, we're crazy. We'd be in there like a shot.
Yeah.
But if you're of a nervous disposition, or you're not really, somebody said, "Oh, this house is haunted. Are you okay staying here?" A lot of people would say, "No, you're all right. You're okay." But us mad people would be, yeah. Where's the keys? When can we get in? How long can we stay for? Wouldn't we? Because we're so passionate about what we do, And it's like this case study that we're doing. There's 7,500 homes on this estate, and they reckon around about half of them are up for sale. Luke, was that your door?
Yeah.
All right.
We'll debunk that one then.
Was that the cat coming in, or your mum?
Mum, yeah.
Oh, Lynn, what's the matter with you?
Right.
You need to oil them knees. Them knees sound bad, them. You want to oil your knees, Lynn, creaking like that? They were saying like it's a 7,500 home site over 300 acres. And any one time, there's at least half the houses are up for sale. But nobody talks to each other. Why? Because would you let on if your house was haunted, if you were trying to sell it?
No.
Sorry, but I've got a poltergeist here in my house, but you're welcome to buy it off me.
Yeah.
And it's like sort of thing you want to go canvassing, didn't you? Knock on the door. Are you having any issues with your house? But people would probably look at you and go, "You're crazy, mate. Go away." Wouldn't they? They think you're like a Jehovah's Witness or something, like where you're trying to canvass. Have you got ghostly noises in your house? Some of the comments could be a bit rude, couldn't they? Really?
Yeah.
And I was tempted to do that, to go and ask around, and then I thought better of it, because I thought, well, who's going to own up?
Yeah.
Who's literally going to own up? They have an issue in the house, and this one we've been looking at. She says just as she's going off to sleep, she gets knocks and bangs, and like the bed moves around a lot. Just as she's going off to sleep, very much poltergeist activity. And then she says that if that happens, when she goes downstairs, something's happened downstairs. Graham's had another strange one, at the same home, when I went towards the bedroom door to go in, because I knew the resident had passed away earlier that morning. I just was about to touch the door handle, and a male voice said, "Come in." I thought it was a carer sorting the room out, and went in. Nobody was in there, totally empty. How did the spirit know I was outside the door? Really strange. But saying that, Graham, how does spirit know what you're thinking in a human pendulum?
They answer the question before, even when you're thinking it. It's the same with dowsing rods. You don't have to say anything; they'll just move if you think of a question.
Same as the board, isn't it? Like Jen's saying, if someone's on the board and nobody's saying anything, that glass will still move to yes, no.
Yeah.
They're so clever. They know what you're thinking before you're going to say it, especially when we've done human pendulums. For a fact somebody's got a question, because the person in the middle is going backwards and forwards, or whichever way it is, whichever way it happens. So they are clever. I can believe that, Graham, that they knew you were the other side of the door, or that he knew or that resident knew that you were coming before you'd actually got there.
There's a part to Gemma's story.
All right. Yes, a heavy door. I looked and it opened up really slowly and all the way, got up and then run run out the room and woke up everybody. And I was shaking. My daughter, who was a baby at the time, would scream every night in that room for hours. We later found out that the farmer hung himself in that room. I now look at the photos and see so many orbs. That's, yeah, you know, and you can go with that poltergeist if someone's had a tragic death there, which, you know,
Yeah.
it's always any death's tragic, isn't it? You know, so you can feel the energy. They must come back to make noises, or whether they don't want you in that room, they're trying to scare you out of that room because that's their room. And what are you doing in here? Why are you in here? This is my room and my room only. I don't. And they start knocking and tapping and pushing things, and the energy just drops, doesn't it? When you get a room that's like that. And say, when I did an asylum, you know, the atmosphere in one of them is not, you know, I wouldn't say it was a positive energy in there, but it was a very well looked after, maintained place. That, man, that was creepy. Ghost Dragon investigation. But when my granddad passed away a few years ago, his window in the hospital opened up on its own, and my grandmother was woken by my granddad saying he's at peace now, and she was waiting at the door to be taken into the hospital.
Oh.
That's mad, isn't it? And this is how clever spirit are, isn't it? They know what's going to happen, and they know that sometimes, you know, it makes you wonder, because obviously before my dad passed away, I had to travel up from Surrey up to Felixstowe, and yet, you know, they said to me, "Oh, you know, he's not got long now," but he was still there when I got there, but not long. Once we got there, he'd gone. So is it that clever? They can wait for that moment, the right moment to go. I don't know. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, I think my mum waited for someone to get there. So we got the call about, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And so I sort of raced down there, and I was the first to get there before my brother and sister. So I went in there, and I sort of saw her, and the nurse was saying, like, this is basically it. She's going to pass away soon. And she took me into a room, and I can't remember what she said at the time, but then we went back into where she was, and the nurse was like, "Oh, this is it," kind of thing. So I was sort of holding her hand, and she passed away. So I think she just waited until I was there with her.
That's how clever they are, isn't it?
So she wasn't on her own.
Yeah.
I think they're so clever, aren't they? Because I think they do that sort of thing to stop it being so traumatic as well. They take that shock out of it, isn't it? I know.
Yeah.
I felt peace for that with my dad. You know, I think if I hadn't got there in time, I'd have been quite upset. But being there at the time, I think that just gave me a bit of peace, comfort, I suppose. You know, like, I don't, you know, all the knocks and taps. I often wonder whether it's my dad. Sometimes it's knocking or tapping or doing odd things in the house. I don't, you know, it's sort of makes you wonder, doesn't it, how spirit do it? You know, poltergeist action. You know, is it that they're getting angry when they start throwing things that they're not getting acknowledged, or we're not taking any notice of what they're doing? Is it that case of being angry? Why don't you listen to me? Why don't you do whatever? You know, so I'm going to throw something. And often you see lots of videos online of poltergeist activity, you know, glasses being thrown, plates, doors, especially cupboard doors and drawers being opened. I mean, you know, where's that leading? Is that trying to give you a way to go and find out what's going on, or is it to scare you out, to get rid of you? Is it just to say, you know, say, "Oh yeah, hello, you know, I know you're there." You know, and they say the worst thing you to do is give your spirit a name, make your own name up for it.
They'll probably anger them even more, won't it, if they don't like the name?
Well, yeah, you can imagine. Be even better, wouldn't it? Give it a name it doesn't like. Oh my god, that'd be very scary. So, Any other?
Depends what does open doors, and open drawers and that. But I just think it's someone that the energy of somebody that used to live there. I don't think it's anything bad or anything, because people tend to think with poltergeists that it's something bad. It's a bad ghost, but I don't think so. I just think they're just, obviously, I don't know, maybe somebody that's been on this, that has passed a long, long time ago, and they've managed to build up a certain amount of energy. And I don't know whether it's a skill thing, whereas, you have to go through certain stages of a ghost before you can able to our orb's like the first stage of a ghost, and then they progress to being able to do other things, or can they just, well, actually, a funny thing is my uncle passed away last July. Yes, it was last July. My uncle passed away, and I saw my aunt a few weeks ago, and she said to me that she had seen my uncle in the corner of their bedroom, but she had only seen like this bit of him. She said he was wearing a suit, but she could only see sort of from here to here, and like the side of his arm type thing. But she said it was surrounded in light.
Oh.
And that was like July to, well, she said it was New Year's Eve this year, so it was only like 6 months after he'd passed that she saw this. And she said, I do believe it's her husband.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess we just won't know, will we? We won't know this, if you can just project yourself as as an image of a ghost, or whether you have to be an orb first and then go up the ranks or something. We just don't know, do we?
No.
But that was 6 months after, and she said that she saw like the side of his arm, and she said it looked like he was wearing a suit, and he always used to wear a suit for work. So, yeah, very strange. I guess we'll never know.
No. Until we reach the other side, then maybe we'll know. Yeah, I mean, the drawers opening and things moving. Is it where the poltergeist or the spirits going about its everyday chores? Opening, shutting, and moving around kitchen doors, or is it done out of anger? It often makes you wonder, doesn't it, whether they do things because they're still living in their time, their realm, where they would have been in the kitchen, open the drawer, maybe accidentally drop the plate off the side of the unit, or open door, slam the door, or on there. You just don't know, do you? So many variables to it.
Or maybe
Tanya Marie Perot.
when they drop the plate, maybe they're cleaning the surface, and your plate just happens to be when they're wiping the surface down in the kitchen, and that's how it gets to be on the floor, because it wasn't there, and their energy is just, wiping around, and I don't know.
Tanya Marie Prado, I think they are either very strong or a loved one trying to get our attention. And that's why I think they do certain things. They probably do subtle things at first, don't they? For us to try and, maybe you hear a voice or a song or a music or something's moved very subtly. And then I think if you don't acknowledge it or think, well, that's strange, that's moved, why is that like that? Then they start to up it. So you take more knowledge, so they turn a picture, move something, pull a chair or something to gauge your attention. They say, right, now I've got your attention. Now I'm here. That's often what I think, like you say, Julia, is it that they're going about their everyday business as they were doing then 200, 300 years ago. And like you say, in modern day, our plates and cups and things are on the side as they're cleaning, but not in their realm. They just think it's a complete flat top, and they wipe down and just knock it off. And we think, oh, it's a bad ghost, or something's bad's going to happen here. But it's not always the way. It's Ghost Dragon investigation. Also, it's multiple spirits helping each other to Kate. Yeah, I imagine they must need to build energy to do what they do, mustn't they? They can't all be fully charged Duracell batteries. They must have to charge up like the rest of us, you know. And we know sometimes when we get a bit low, we need other people around us to build us back up again. So maybe it's the same in the spirit world, where they all need to get together around the old campfire and build a bit of energy up, have a sing along, and then, right, whose house are we going to tonight then? Whose house are we going to upset tonight? What about you, Lou? What do you think?
Well, like in the airing cupboard, that's opened by itself a few times, and the clothes are just fallen out, like someone's pushed the clothes out. Doesn't happen often.
Is that trying to hint at something, you think?
It doesn't happen often. Happened like about twice it's happened, I think. It's the first time I've seen it. Well, I've lived here all my life and I've never seen it before. It's very strange.
And do you ever see the doors open on their own, or you just go out there and it's open?
It's opposite my bedroom. I was sitting in my bedroom. You hear the door click open, and all the clothes get pushed on the floor. Shocked me. I wonder what it was.
How often does that happen?
Not often. No, it hasn't happened for a long time now.
Is it an anniversary thing?
Anniversary of someone passing, your nan, your mum's mum, or whatever?
No, she was still alive when it first happened.
Right, maybe you got more than one in there then.
I don't know. Could be, yeah.
Maybe you open the door as a portal, Luke. Have you ever tried that?
One of the haunted dolls.
I don't know.
It's probably one of your dolls, Jen, saying haunted dolls.
I reckon it could be, yeah.
Do you ever get anything happen at night when you're asleep with your dolls?
I only hear sometimes hear talking in my ear. Oh, the other day, I woke up. I thought someone ran in my bedroom. I heard loads of people running around. So I was like, I know someone's broken in the house, but there's no one there.
And all your dolls were in the same place?
But when I woke up, it was quiet. Yeah, it was all in the same place. Yes.
I think you might want to get rid of them dolls, mate. They're having a bit of a game there.
Yeah.
At Grange, but I think spirits are there. Sorry. I think spirits are there when they want to be, and when I go to our castle, it seems that it's the same spirits all the time. I recognise the different voices, but can't put a name to them, except for a female voice who I think is Eleanor, Henry's wife. Yeah, I mean, I suppose if spirit doesn't move on, then it sees all these different people walking around, does it make a noise? Does it bang on something? Does it try and talk to you? Are they trying to hold a conversation? And it goes back to that theory where, do they see us as an energy? Do they see us as a person? You know, how do they try to communicate with us? Or do they see us as a ghost, you know, when they talk to us? Because would they be able to tell whether they've passed over or not? I don't know. That's a difficult question, isn't it? To know what they think. Like you say, if you've not been there, you don't know, do we? But then sometimes you get such intelligent responses, you know, that blows you away, really, doesn't it? So, like Julie's saying with the dowsing rods, you know, once you get contact with them, and you don't have to ask the question, they start to do it for you. You know, you're only asking which way's your yes and which way's your no, and the rods are doing, you know, answering, they're crossing, they're going, and it's all about thought, isn't it? The energy you're creating as a thought. Spirit can read that and the answer before you actually start. You know, and there's that, like the poltergeist banging and slamming and throwing things and opening doors and pushing stuff out. Is it a hint? Is it trying to tell you something? Is it, you know, he wants acknowledgement? Have you ever asked out, Luke, who it is doing it?
I don't seem to get any responses. It just happens randomly. Not often. Don't get much happening. Just randomly happens.
And do you ever record out there? Have you ever tried recording?
Yeah, tried recordings before, but I haven't re-happened yet. I might try some more though. I need to try it more, I reckon.
It's always worth trying, isn't it? It's like,
yeah,
you know, with Julia taking pictures here, there, and everywhere. You've got to do it because you just don't know what's going to turn up in that picture.
Yeah.
You know, the most.
The case, just persevering, and it took me a good 20 years to get a photo of my little girl on the stairs. Yeah, really, yeah, just persevere. Lots of photos, lots of recording. That, yeah, you'll get there in the end. You'll get it.
Yeah.
I can lend you one of the little cameras, Luke, with a little stand, and you just stand up and switch it on as you go to bed at night, and just leave it running in the hallway.
Oh, yeah.
It'll probably freak you out if you find something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find one of your dolls running around the bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
Do they ever like turn their heads or anything? Do you ever
Some-
sort of like put them so all their heads are facing the same way, and then maybe sort of turn all their heads to the left, and then leave them there for say a week and see if anyone,
Oh, yeah.
you know, any head sort of like turns.
Yeah,
That'd be a good experiment.
All over.
Fall over sometimes they do.
Yeah, I'd try turn all their heads one way and then, you know, seeing if they
Yeah, it's a good
move.
idea. It's a good experiment. You can come back on and tell us, Luke.
Yeah.
Tell us in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. When you go in there, does it like they're actually watching you? You know, when you get them paintings or them things that no matter where you move, it looks like the eyes are following you around the room.
Yeah, it does. Some of them catch your eye. You catch one of them at one point.
And that don't freak you out.
No, I'm used to it. It doesn't really bother me. Doesn't scare me at all, no.
Good idea. What about your mum? Does it scare your mum?
You get scared of it. No, she ain't scared either, I think.
No.
You'll come out one day and one of them will be sitting in the hallway.
Yeah.
Then the trouble starts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Grab your leg as you go past.
Gonna trip you over. What was that? Any other comments?
Any little bits and pieces like that one.
Sounds like Luke has a Chucky doll. Sounds like you have a Chucky doll, Luke.
Yeah, I've got 3 of them, I think.
3 of them.
Have you?
Yeah.
Chucky dolls, got 3 Chucky dolls.
Did you buy them because you knew they were haunted, or you just bought them and they feel haunted?
No, because I like the films.
You like? Oh my god, you like the Chucky films?
Yeah.
So you went and bought 3 of them.
Well, I think so, yeah.
Hi, Daniel. Hope you're okay. All good. That's creepy, Luke.
Yeah.
So, have you bought your dolls off a haunted website then, or you just bought the dolls?
Well, the haunted ones I bought.
Yeah. Did you know they were haunted when you bought them, or?
There's all on eBay, really, like descriptions, reading and stuff. So I'm not 100%. You just got to kind of see.
Yeah.
And what drew you to dolls?
I'm not sure. Just interested in haunted objects. Wanted to try them out and see if they was real or not.
So you bought a whole load of them.
Yeah.
Not 1 or 2. You went and bought a lot, Chucky and all.
Yeah.
Dear, oh dear. So you got to do that experiment then, Luke. Like Julia said, turn all the heads one way.
Oh yeah.
Make sure they're all happy, just in case they're not. Make sure they're happy with their heads turned.
Yeah.
And take
We
a
don't-
photo as well when you do it. Take a photo so they're all one way. So if there's any changes, you can sort of like see the previous photo if anything's changed, like they swap places or anything.
And
Yeah.
if we see one appear over your shoulder, we know it's got out. Little hands on your shoulder.
But what would you do if that did happen? Would you just like bin it and get rid of it, or
No,
put it in a box
Burn
still
it.
keep it.
so it didn't like
Goodness.
escape?
Yeah.
Nah, that would be me for me. I'd have to get rid of it.
Because it was like running around or moving. You know, you might be in bed at night asleep, and it might like come and like bits out of your face or something. You know, or I don't know.
Yeah.
It may even go in the hallway and open the doors, push
Little
all your
plastic
washing out, and then
handbag
go back again.
You know. Yeah, I'd have to. Yeah, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably give it to Gemma if I had a haunted doll. I'd say, Gemma, take this home with you.
Gemma's
It's a
jumpy at
gift.
the best of times, isn't she?
It's a gift.
Sod that.
It's a gift, Gemma.
Gemma's
Take it
jumpy
home.
at the best of times, isn't she? Without giving her a haunted doll. That's always the things with when you're in the investigation, isn't it? And all these mannequins are in these certain rooms. You know, you're never quite sure, are you? You know they're just a model, but you always have that feeling. You think, is that really watching me? Is that moved? I'm sure that's moved from a different place. And you know full well that it's a model, but in the back of your mind, you just know. I don't know. You're thinking, that's watching me. Whenever I go in this room, that is actually... Or you walk around the corner and it makes you jump because it's looking... I think there's one that... where is that? Shepton Mallet? Is it? Where did we go? We saw hanging around the corner. I
There's
think
one
it might...
prizes in the dungeon, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was creepy. I put a camera on that. I need to go over that footage. And
We went to the when we went to the museum, the Jack the Ripper museum.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah, we went to the Jack the Ripper Museum. They had mannequins all over it, the women and the police and all of that. I put some photos on here of it. And that is, without a doubt, me and Jim walked in there and
You
went,
could feel the energy there.
he's
There's
watching
energy.
us. And you sort of keep looking over, you're reading all about the various things that happened in Whitechapel, and you keep looking at him like he's going to look back at you and answer a question.
Or it's like, I thought he put his head down a bit further.
It's just, I don't know. So, and they have ghost hunts there as well in the Jack the Ripper Museum.
Yeah.
And it's all stuff that they've got, obviously, from Whitechapel and all the area. And, you know, I'll stick some photos up so you can see it. But it's this room with the policeman in is just really creepy.
Yeah.
And then they have a mock-up of what the Jack the Ripper's room would have been like. And you walk in there and, you know, and there's have like pictures of operations and human anatomy and all of that on the walls. And you think, oh, and there's one stands in the corner there. And as you go to another floor, and then you walk through the corridor and you're just coming out into a room, and then you hear one of them shout out, "There's been a murder!" Of one of these mannequins, and you're like, "What?" And it's standing in the corner as you walk in the room. It's designed that when you walk in the room, it shouts. It's frightening. We walked in and I said, "Bloody hell, Jen. It's like, there's been a murder." Another one, it goes. And you think, yeah, all right. Yeah, we'll bypass that room and go somewhere else. But I'd imagine at night, I imagine that is quite a creepy location to be in. It's on 4 floors, was it 4?
Yeah.
And they have a lift that goes up between the floors, so you don't have to go up the stairs. But as you go up the stairs, they have pictures of Whitechapel and where the murders appeared and the women and what they look like and all the information. Really interesting place. If anybody's never been there, go there. It's a really, really interesting, not very big, but a great, interesting place to have a look around. And the evidence and the stuff they got there is mind blowing. But anyway, enough. Any other comments, Angela?
Nope.
So, Luke, we'd like you to drop a doll off round to Gemma's. I think Gemma really wants the doll. So when you get a minute, she's not far from you.
No.
Maybe the doll could go around there on her own and tap on the front door.
Yeah,
Poor old Gemma, she do jump. A few times I've been with her and we've jumped. But anyway, so no more comments? Excellent. So a big, big thank you from all of us on here tonight for coming in and joining us about poltergeists. I hope you enjoyed the different subject. If it's another subject you'd like us to talk about, similar sort of thing, anything, haunted dolls, haunted objects, anything like that, please notify us, get in touch, and we'll talk about it and, you know, discuss it and have really good conversation with all you lot out there. Some brilliant comments tonight and some really interesting stories. So a big, big thank you from us for doing that and interacting with us tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. You know, so we're always open to suggestions. So if you want to come on the panel and talk about a specialist subject that you're passionate about, please get in contact. You're always welcome to come on here. you know,
Or
or
an investigation.
an investigation you want to talk about, or some seriously special places that you've been, you know, and talk us about your passion, because it's all our passion of the paranormal. So please get in contact. Come on here, contact Andrew or myself or whoever, and come on here and talk to us. You're welcome
you-
to do that.
Can you hear some talking in the background?
Yeah.
All my kids.
Oh, is
Is
it?
it?
Yeah, they're in the kitchen.
Okay. Debunked.
Anyway, so it's a big thank you from all of us on here tonight, and all of you for sending in your comments and interacting with us. We really appreciate that. You know, it makes our job easier, and we love talking to other investigators on their thoughts and how things go on. So if you're out this weekend on investigations, please be careful, because we want to see everybody back safe. So be careful out there. And from myself, Jenny and Paul, Ghost Coast, Angela, South Coast Go, Julia from Paranation Ghost Hunting Events, and Luke, one of our investigators. It's a very good night, and thank you for tuning in, and have a very safe week. Bye, everybody. Take care.